this research paradigm and logic research implication for research design. So as here we better know that the two philosopher or the two scientists were like the classic Greek philosopher Plato and the next one is philosopher Socrates. So according to them, in this presentation, we are going to means understand about the paradigm, what the stages covered by research means day by day. Basically, research is of two conditions. All the things actually I am going to tell is on the perspective of mechanical engineering. So in mechanical engineering, the research is only in two way: the analytical and the research experimental method. So what all the stages with regard to era is covered by many researchers. We are going to understand this. So basically, research is a systematic process of discovering new knowledges and solving problems and answering questions through scientific methods. So about the paradigm, the word paradigm originates from the Greek word paradigma, which means pattern, model, or example. In research, paradigm refers to a philosopher framework that guides the entire research process. So it consists of three main categories. Like main components of paradigm is ontology, epistemology, and methodology. So this research paradigm and social research consist of three more main paradigms. Let us see that. So these are the presentation outlines, like paradigm position on selected practical research issues, logical of inquiry research strategies, and quantitative and qualitative research methods and its features. So basically, first of all, we are going to understand that what is research. So it is a very studious inquiry or examination, especially a critical investigation of experimentation, having for its aim the discovery of new facts and that correct the interpretation. Also we are considering the remarkable evidences which we have obtained by considering some analytical works, by considering some softwares like mathematical lab, that is called MATLAB, or artificial neural network like ant colony, Seahawk, Harry's-Hawk methods, or by some experimental methods. So the what the values we are achieving by this experimental work, that all provides the evidence. So by the reference of that evidence, we are considering that graph, and we are relating that all the evidence with the previous work. So and we are comparing that works with present work and the older work, and concluding that our work is how much efficient and effective. So what is paradigm? A bold framework and understanding belief within which theories and practices operates. So as here I earlier told that the paradigm is basically originated from Greek word. So here it is nopetic view of paradigm, a mental a model, a way of seeing, a filter of one's perceptions, a frame of reference, a frame of thought or belief through which one's world or reality is interpreted. So here the paradigm is like it depends upon the mindset of researcher, that what he or she wants to do, like experimental or analytical work. This is a paradigm shift. Like in 1962, a great scientist, Thomas, wrote the structure of scientific revolution, and father defined and popularized the concept of paradigm shift. Uh, Here also he concluded that paradigm shift is a change from one way of thinking to another. So by revising the thought way of our approaches, we can here inculcate the many new methods for research in new fields or new areas. So here the instructor centric model, like instructor is telling to many multiple learners, and how that learners grabs all such points by the instructor what the instructor is delivering. Like some learner goes for that for some e-learning, some learner will prefer to knowledge, some learner will prefer for collaboration, communication, information. That depends upon the learner, that how they approach some research work according to their choice, to their choice, according to their availability of resources. It depends upon learner and their resources, what all the resources they had available. This is the main components of paradigm, that ontology, epistemology, and methodology. So here the basic definition of epistemology is that the branch of philosophy concerned with the origin, nature, methods, and limits of knowledge. Means it provides the fundamental foundation of any work, like the origin of any fundamental concept. Like the ontology is concerned with the being or reality. Ontology is the starting points of all the research, after which once epistemology and methodology position logically follow. A dictionary definition of the term may describe it as the image of social reality upon which a theory is based. This is the epistemology. So one of the core branches of philosophy, it is the epistemology, and it concerned with the theory of knowledge, especially in regard of its methods, validation, and the possible ways of gaining knowledge of social reality, whatever it is understood to be. So it is claimed by many scientists like Blakin in 2000 that epistemology is a preferred, that it is a good work to refine the some fundamental concept regarding some research. So as we know that epistemology and this paradigm, all this work is associated with Greek philosophy. So these are the ways of knowing about the world inquiry strategies, like authority, like parents, states, boss, etc., like religion, faith, belief, standards, morals, etc., tradition. This all means we are observing. This all depends upon the observation, like how you observe some research gap, or how you inculcate any research gap, and how you choose that research gap, and in which way you have to consider that research. It depends upon the choice of researcher. This is a research methods and methodology. So, methodology refers to a general principle which underlines how to investigate the social world, and how we demonstrate the knowledge of generated is valid or invalid. So, basically, a research paradigm acts as a roadmap for researchers. It helps that to decide that which should be studied and which should not be studied, which should be valid or not valid, and it should be studied, whether the method should be used, and how the findings should be interpreted. Without the clear paradigm, research may be lack of consistency, direction, and scientific rigors. So here the next category is research paradigm and social research. So in this table, we can easily find out that the basic belief of metaphysics and of alternative inquiry paradigm is divided in many subcategories and categories, like items, ontology, epistemology, and methodology. It basically divided in four categories of positivism, post-positivism, and critical theory, and constructivity based. So, ontology is basically based on the reality of means the real reality, but only imperfectly and probabilistically apprehendable. Epistemology is a modification of some traditional or community findings, and methodology, it is a very simple, that how we are going to perform, or what the method we are opting for finding some observations. So this is a methodology which depends upon uh, like that it is a experimental or analytical. So this is the next step of position on selected practical issues. Like every research study is based on the certain philosophical and assumptions. These assumptions influence the research design and methods and data collection and techniques. So here the issues positivism and positivism and critical constructivism. So here in this table the basic points were discussed, like nature of knowledge, inquiry aim, and knowledge accumulation, and goodness or quality criteria. So in this table we can easily observe that how the nature of knowledge. So it is very means required of that nature of knowledge should be very core, or it should be very fundamental, like inquiry aim. So to whom we are going to inquiry, that to whom we are going to inquiry means the person we are assuming or presuming that he or she may know all the means ground reality of that field. So to that person only we are going to inquiry. So by that inquiry, by that social inquiry, we are going to get that real data of our research. And the next is knowledge accumulation. So knowledge accumulation is like self thinking. So by self realization or self thinking, accumulation means self realizing. So by self observation, what we are going to inculcate about some topics or research gap, that is knowledge accumulation. The goodness or quality criteria, that is a conventional benchmark or rigor, internal and external validity, reliability and objectives. So this is the next table of some issues, ethics, voice training, and accommodation and hegemony. So this is a position on selected practical issues, like how the research is going to complete. Means what are the challenges is faced by an researcher. This table means represent that things. So this is a theoretical perspective history, that interpretivism and post-privatism and positivism, postmodern and participatory and parametism. So this all are the means flow chart of this perspectives of paradigm. Like a research paradigm is not a merely a research method, rather it is a comprehensive worldwide that shapes the entire research process. It influences the researchers thinking, decision making and interpretation of evidences. So next, we are going to the category of logical and inquiry research strategies. So this is the induction or the preliminary steps of this research. Is that inductive approach to inquiry builds generalization out of observations of specific events. Like it starts with singular and particular statements and ends up with general or universal propositions. So this is the means we are going to continue with some thorough knowledge about this induction or the preliminary approach. That the inductive strategy assumes that all the science starts with observations, which provides a secure basic basis from which knowledge can be derived and comes that reality impinges directly on the senses. Hence this is a correspondence between the sensory experiment. So this is the important importance of research paradigm has increased that significantly in the recent years, because the researchers now questions requires different approaches. So no single platform suitable for every researcher problem. Instead, the choice of paradigm depends on that the field of area. So every researcher study is based on the certain philosophical assumptions. That should be the assumptions influences the research design, methodology, or data interpretations. So this is the inductive thinking flow process, like observation, which pattern we are going to follow, the tentative hypothesis and the theory work. So this is the basic methodology of some research. So what we are going to observe with means what is our vision and what is our mission. So in which pattern we are going to execute that vision and mission. And the next one is tentative hypothesis. So how we are going to validate our research work, either by graph or by some pie chart or some tables, by which type of hypothetical methods we are going to represent or validate our research work. And the next one is theory, that by which method we are going to conduct all this research work. That is theoretical work, or we can easily say it is a methods. So this is a deduction. The deduction, hypothetical, deductive, or falsifications approach is a reverse. That here I want to make clear to all the means researchers that our research is means in a fair manner. Either our work is going to some lower grade, or we are not getting up to the remarkable work, but always we have to present the fair values to the means in paper or in our articles. So this is a deduction, or it brings to the explicitly with a tentative hypothesis or set of hypotheses that form a theory which could be provide a possible answer or explanation for a particular problems. Then proceeds to use observation or rigorously test or the hypothesis. Like in multiple manner, we can validate our work, like different with the help of different softwares, like providing some ANSYS or computational fluid dynamics, or with the help of Minitab, or with the help of mathematical lab that is called MATLAB. So by this all these softwares, how we means validate our result, that should be very fair, that is not artificial, or that is not be fabricated. That is not a good research, or means fair research. It should be always avoided. So the deductive argument moves from the premises, at least one of which is a journal or a universal statement, to a conclusion that is a singular statement. Deductive propositions from a hierarchy, from theoretical to observational, and the deductive acceptance that observation is guided and supposed by the theory. So, a research paradigm is not merely a research methods. Rather, it is a and, comprehensive, the worldwide, which that shapes the entire research process. So deduction means the critics of the that approach claims that where a theory has not been falsified, it acceptance realizes on data that leads inductive supports. Deductivism are reluctant to deal with the process by which hypothesis came into being. So each and every process should be very transparent, and it should be shared to all the researchers. So the next researcher means it is a landmark or benchmark to the next upcoming batches of research in our field. Like my field is refrigeration and air conditioning. So in that refrigeration and air conditioning, I have multiple and several papers. So all the experimental data I have means provided to the that research paper, and compared with that conventional and non-conventional traditional methods were compared with the with my value and the previous value. So what this means message is that uh, the research is a part of fair work, and it is a benchmark for upcoming researchers. So it is a deductive thinking, like theory, hypothesis, observation, and confirmation. So what our mission and vision will be, and what process of validation, and how we are going to observe that entire process, and the confirmation with the help of some validation softwares. Like our experimental works would be compared with some computational methods. Like I have told that some artificial neural network are available in MATLAB. So it depends upon the choices. Like we are going to opt with computational fluid dynamics or something else. So it is a stating starting points of theory testings like inferences, implications for propositions, new theory, analysis data, propositions, develop measures, sample, etc., and collection of data and clubbing to all the data in a very simple and understanding manner. So this is a research field. So here the theory, hypothesis, and observation data and pattern. So this is induction means preliminary the starting, or this is a deduction. So it is a means clockwise cycle. It is a very good research field. It's a quantitative approach like theory, hypothesis, research design, and for example, if a researcher wants to measure the effect of new teaching methods on students, examination scores, quantitative methods based on the positive paradigm may be appropriate. So, however, the researcher wants to understand the student experience, emotions, and perceptions regarding the online education or the offline education or qualitative approaches, means based on the interpretive previous paradigm may be means suitable to the students and the researchers. Means the quantitative approach means shares upon a data of data collection to it is a data collection of a batch, of a lot, of a population. This is a quantitative approach. This is a qualitative approach. So in qualitative approach, we focus on a very reserved items or products. Uh, in observation, we are considering a very limited articles, or in limited fields, or in limited few results. So here the observation and interviews like a image or documents, data collection, the notes or interview transcripts, the researcher analysis and interpretation, this review of literature. So here if our data is helpful to the others, it is a prestigious work. It is a means our data or our statement is providing to some other researchers good knowledge. So it is a very good, it is a noble work. So in review of literature, what we are considering, what the our seniors or what the our seniors have done the remarkable work in a specific field. So in this literature survey, we are acknowledging the all the work in one space in literature survey, and we are acknowledging all that works in the references. That is a review of literature or survey, literature survey, and the research analysis and interpret. Basically, if we are going to start some new research, so by starting the new research, we are actually first of all we have to do only literature survey only. By the literature survey only, we are going to some observation, and we are figuring out some problems or research gap. And by research gap, first is the elementary stage of research is literature survey only. By literature survey, we are going to the research gap, that what we are finding by studying the multiple papers or several or hundreds of papers. Like in at the time when I was doing my doctorate degree from a government institute. So at that time, my guide has given me around more than 100 articles in a specific topic, and asked me to find out the research gap. So it is a elementary stage of doing any research. So this is a combined approach. A scheme has been proposed by great scientist Walls in 1971 that combines the inductive and deductive strategies to capitalize on their strength and minimizing their weakness, creating a cyclic process that allows for movement between the theorizing and doing empirical research. So it is understand by the experience in both inductive and deductive methods of reasoning. This is retroductions years regarding retroductions of hypothesis formulation as being as the first stage of an inquiry. It is a process of kin or to finding that the right key for the lock, although that the key may never have been observed before. So this is like quite similar to research. Yeah. This is a abduction. That abduction research strategy is used by the interpretivism to produce scientific accounts of social life by drawing the means. It is a no single paradigm is suitable for means we are not going to compulsion to like in this manner only we can abduction process or by this we cannot go for a means fixed any process for abduction. This is a strategic research strategy. By that, we are going to find out some remarkable results. So it is access to the any social world to an accounts giving to the by the peoples who inhabited these accounts to contain the concepts that peoples use to structure their world. The meaning of the interpretations that the motive and the intentions which people used to use their everyday lives and which directed their behaviors. So this is a interpretivism acknowledgement of the human as this all are discussed. So this is a positivism and critical theory at means interpretivism and constructivism comparison among the paradigm. So this is a positivism. Like here, the quantitative pursuits, like positive that believing the social observations should be treated as entities in much the same way that the physical scientists treat the physical phenomena. So this is an important research paradigm has increased the significant in recent years because researchers now recognize that the different research questions requires different approaches. So no single paradigm is suitable for every researcher problems, and instead of choosing the paradigm depends on the research objectives, the nature of problems, and the types of knowledge that the researcher wishes to generate. So, for example, a researcher wants to measure the effects of a new technique teaching methods based on the positivism paradigm may be appropriate. However, if the researcher wants to understand the students' experience, emotions, and the perceptions regarding the online education or the quality approaches based on the interpretivist paradigm may be suitable or not suitable. So it depends upon the researcher means area and their choice. So maintaining the social science inquiry should be objective in the time and context-free generalization that great scientist Nagel in 1986 described by Nagel. So this is interpretivism and constructivism. So that the research is value bound. This is impossible to differentiate fully cause and effects. That logic flows from specific to general. Example explanation and generated effectively from the data, and that know or do not know cannot be separated because the subjective know is only sources of reality only. So it is the understanding of critical theory that two propositions were here served by different scientists. Like peoples are a product of the society in which they live. Hence, they implies that there is no such things as an objective fact that can be known to understand the structure of any theme or any structure. So Intellectuals should be not be tied to objectives and separate value judgments from their work. So this is a basic table of positivism and social constructiveness in research. So here different points were considered, like research process, research goal, concept of variables, unit analysis, and here the positivism and social constructions were here means in a very key words. Uh, it is here summarized that in research goal, the demonstration is casual and increase in general understanding of situation, or research process progress made through hypothesis and deduction, probing rich data to increase the understanding. Means here in deduction or in addiction, we here simply know that deduction means we are going to decrease the data and making it a very club manner and making in a very simple manner, that in a few data we are going to understand much more things about the research work. Means what the research we have in whatever the field we have done the research in very less data, we can understand the result. So this is a quantitative versus qualitative research and silent features. So this is a quantitative research and quality. This is a basic difference that it proposed to explain the social life. It proposes to understand the social life. It is a nomadic interested in establishing law-like statement, causes the consequences, etc. Aims at theory testing and employs an objective approaches, and aims at theory building and employs at subjective approaches. So these were the qualitative and quantitative research, implies that inflexible. So this is a table, means it is a construction that qualitative and quantitative and different parameters in different segments, like segments where nature of reality, causes and effects, the role of values, like objectives, single and tangible sense impressions, subjectives, probabilistics, holistic and social construct, like nomological thinking, cause effect linkage, all such. These are very keywords in different segments of quantitative and qualitative methodology. These are the research roles, generalizations, and this previous table is continued here with different segments. Like in different segment, what the quantitative methodology approach and what the qualitative methodology approach. So this is the interrelationship between the building blocks of research, like ontology, what's out there to know, epistemology, that what and how can we know about it, and methodology, how can we go about acquiring knowledge, to how we are going to gain knowledge, methods, what procedure we are going to follow to achieve some concrete or some mild result, sources, what data can we collect, or maximum source is approached to means to obtain a good value of result. So this is a case study phenomenology and mixed method of this quantitative research, mixed research and qualitative research. Quantitative means we are going to experiment or analytical work, means in a huge or bulk way. In qualitative, we are considering or focusing in a very specific items or area. So this is a qualitative research as a bricolage. The multiple methodologies of qualitative research may be viewed as a bricolage, or and the researcher as a bricoler. So this is a basic definition of this, that the multiple methods of qualitative research may be viewed as a bricolage, and researcher as the bricolers. So the bricklayer is a jack of all trades, or a kind of a professional. So it do it by yourself, or the bricklayer produces a bricolage that is a precise together to close knit set and practices that provides a good result or some concrete situations. So here we know about the paradigm, like in old in early stages how the research is conducted, and nowadays how the research work is conducted. Like in earlier days, what the research is, it basically depends upon the experimental, and for validation purpose we are going to use analytical work. But nowadays research is improved with respect to era of research. Like nowadays, if we are going some research work, we are conducting some experimental work, it is compared with some computational work rather than analytical work. So this is a means paradigm of research. So that's all uh, my presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm